We do speak to people in the business world. I'm Joy Doreen Bira, and joining me in studio is Nita Omanga, who is the Director Risk Services at Visa Sub-Saharan Africa. She's here to talk to us about this electronic-enabled card payment system. And I'll start by asking, how secure is the Visa card when making payments?
Thank you, Joy. So the Visa card and the Visa network, what we call VisaNet, is extremely secure. Visa invests huge amounts of money globally to ensure that our system is up. We don't have downtime. We ensure that our transactions are secure. We monitor transactions continuously. We're able to pick out anything that appears to be suspicious and can intercept those transactions even before they're completed. For the other transactions that do go through, we have a number of risk tools available that our banks are using to enable them prevent fraudulent transactions from actually being completed. And in the events that they do get completed and they do go through successfully, we have a very complex dispute resolution process that the banks use to manage that particular transaction and that dispute.
All right. So you have about 47,000 transactions per second, and your biggest clients happen to be banks. How do you help them, knowing that a lot of Kenyans, for instance, have a negative perception towards cards, and one of the reasons is because they fear to enter the information online? How do you guard against all of those insecurities?
Yes, so we do introduce products over time, new products and new services to the banks that help mitigate fraud. One example I'll give you is the chip and pin card. Chip and pin was introduced to deter face-to-face transactions, and this was fraud that basically was taking place on fake cards or counterfeit cards or skimmed cards. It comes under various names. The chip was introduced because the chip itself is virtually impossible to break. The risk components that are built into the chip allow it to be very intelligent, such that the card itself is able to communicate with the terminal, and the terminal can verify, one, is this a genuine Visa card? Number two, is this type of transaction allowed? And number three, because of the PIN factor, is it the actual card holder who is transacting? Now, riding on that whole PIN factor is why we communicate to the general public, to consumers, to safeguard their PINs. Because once the card is stolen, and if you had the PIN also compromised, then your card definitely can be used.
Right.
But without the PIN, it cannot.
Okay. Now, Visa seems to be enjoying a number of can I say monopoly in some markets. We talk about South Africa, I talk about Nigeria, but when it comes to Kenya, when you talk about M-Pesa, which is the biggest platform or mobile money platform, it happens to be enjoying millions of consumers. Have you thought to tap into the exact market that M-Pesa is targeting?
Thank you for that question. That's a very good question, because we get that very often. M-Pesa is not our competitor. Our competitor is cash. Moving countries or communities away from cash onto other forms of payment, be they electronic payments, be they mobile payments, is always a very healthy indicator for the financial sector. So we are actually looking to move people away from cash onto our card payments, and not necessarily moving them away from any other form of mobile payments.
All right, so when you talk about cash, I'm thinking you're actually talking about the informal sector. But what are you doing exactly to reach out to those people who are, say, in the downtown places, and encouraging them to use more of Visa electronic cards as opposed to cash?
Okay, so there is still a huge market that remains untapped. If I can just give you a simple example, if you walk down Moi Avenue or Tomboya Street, we've got thousands of stores that we call exhibitions, thousands of little shops that sell mobile phones, etc., etc. Now we want the consumers to be able to go into any one of those smaller shops or smaller establishments and be able to make a card payment. We also want consumers to go to their neighborhood duka, as we call it, or the neighborhood kiosk, and make a card payment to purchase, whether they're going to buy bread and milk and eggs, It's this.
At what cost, by the way?
Oh, a very good question. So there is no cost to transacting on a Visa card. And what we communicate to merchants are the establishments who accept cards, is that there should be no distinguished difference between a cash sale and a card sale. So milk is 50 shillings, whether one pays by card or by cash. Yes, so there is no cost.
Well, thank you so much for joining us to enlighten us about the Visa card payments. Your final remarks very briefly.
So we do have a Card Security Week running the whole of this week. Card Security Week is something that we have done in other markets, but we're doing it for the first time here in Kenya. We've done it in South Africa, in Namibia, in Zimbabwe, etc. And basically what we do during this week is bring all of our clients into workshops. We showcase any new products and new services that we have. We showcase services that have not really had the uptake within this particular market. And because it is Card Security Week, we intend also to reach the wider communities so that people feel secure to use their cards. There are a large number of people who have cards in their wallets but don't use them. Why? To demystify that fear and for them to feel encouraged that behind the network, the Visa network, is absolutely secure.
Right. So it's all about encouraging people to get on it, knowing that it is secure.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. We do appreciate the time taken to come and inform us about this. And well, that was Nita Omanga, who is the Director, Risk Services at Visa Sub-Saharan Africa. My name is Joy Dorin Bira, and I'll hand you over to Edith Kimani for all the sporting action.